Got a special guest with us here this morning in the Roadhouse from Smallville, Erica Durance. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing great. What's happening in Season 8 of Smallville?
What isn't happening in Season 8 of Smallville? It's been a wild ride, I think, for all the characters. They've brought in Doomsday, so Clark has had this really, really big nemesis, and then Chloe's going through all sorts of experiences, being Brainiac, and they're just trying to make it, I think, a lot edgier this year so that they can build into their Season 9, and I think they're just trying to go a lot further towards the mythology. So it's been a really, really fun year. I've been able to be half alien and do a lot of comedy. I've been able to be Chloe in an episode. It's been a really fun season.
You know, it's a fun show because over the years, well, first of all, I remember when you were first coming to the show, and let me admit, I'm a Smallville nerd, right? Is there a name for Smallville fans like Trekkies or Trekkers?
No, you know what? I don't think so. I think it's still, as far as I know, I don't know any kind of inside kind of joke name, but I do know that it's the fans that are, really interested to keep watching that love it.
I'm one of those guys.
So.
I'm one of those guys who has, every season on DVD, and I'm a big fan of the show. And I remember when you first came on, everybody was like, "Oh, who's the new girl who thinks she's going to be Lois Lane?" And it was kind of tough, but you really kind of made the role your own, and you've gotten to play a lot of fun characters even within the world of being Lois Lane.
Yeah, I think that's been what's fun about Smallville, and is that it is that throwback, and it is when he's younger, and I know there's the risk to throw the Lois character in that kind of mix because technically she's not there till a little bit later. But we've been able to have some fun with it, and because I came in later, I was maybe, you see me evolving later, but all the characters have evolved over time, and I think now is they're starting to see in Season 8 and probably more Season 9 that reflection of the Lois that everybody's really looking for. Yes, she comes into herself, and so. Yeah, and I've been able to experiment with all that kind of sense of humanity and clumsiness and, maybe doing and saying some of the wrong things at the wrong time. But I think that's part of the charm of this creation of her. So it's been a lot of fun as an actress to play it for sure. But intimidating, of course, because you're taking on a role that everybody loves Lois Lane. So I was trying to be really careful with that as well.
Now in the upcoming episode is called Stiletto, right? You get some superpowers.
What happens in that is Lois gets this great idea that the best way to get some great stories is to be part of that story, and her overall underlying theme for doing that. So of course she makes her own costume. She becomes Stiletto, and she wants to have a meeting with the Red Blue Blur, and that's kind of going to become, of course, Lois's theme, which is part of the mythology, and so they're just building into that. And so there was a lot of really, really fun stuff with that, and she had to go in and save the day, and I had to do a lot of stunts for that, and flying on wires through windows and beating people up. It was great.
Now, we mentioned, you mentioned a minute ago how Lois Lane being such an iconic character. And I got to tell you, as a Smallville fan, I'm sure you've heard this a million times. And, I did enjoy the Superman Returns movie. But, and I'm not that I'm talking bad about somebody, but Kate Bosworth never had that Lois Lane kind of spark, that spunkiness. And you had it. So when you watched Superman Returns, was there a little bit of you who said, yeah, I got Lois Lane so much better than that?
Well, I don't know. It's one of those things that I try not to go that way because I feel like it's some kind of jinx. But
yeah.
But I did find that when I watched it, I felt that in a way the creators kind of tried to. I don't know if there was a lack of encouragement, but they tried to kind of play that side down a little bit more too. But maybe that's because mine is. The way that they've worked with mine is so far the other way.
They knew they couldn't compete with you.
There you go. No. No, I think that mine was so far the other way, and it'd been encouraged because I've had people call me and go, wow, yours was way too in your face, and that's not Lois, and make her more soft. So, mine was way on the other side of things, that's for sure.
What is it like being a, I don't know what the term is for it, a nerd crush? Like, everywhere you go, you must, like, I know you've done some of the Comic-Con stuff and that kind of fun. Is that just, once you take on the role of Lois Lane and you've got this cyber fan base that just is very interested in you all of a sudden?
Well, there's surely quite a bit of responsibility, right? Because, again, like you said, a lot of people that really know about the mythology are really, they're very avid and about what they want and how they want to see her. And but for the most part, everybody's been really, really positive, and that's been a really wild ride for sure. It's not part of where I came from and part of my makeup in that sense. So it's been a little bit of a roller coaster.
Can I tell you that I'm still crushed after that episode where John Schneider died?
I am too.
That broke my.
I was like, the Dukes of Hazzard, John Schneider.
He was the best dad on TV.
When I came there to be able to do some scenes with him and stuff like that, I know it's heartbreaking.
I'm still trying to get over that. Now, this season, really, kind of just getting underway. Any kind of sneak preview as to some other fun stuff coming up?
Well, like I said, I think they really stepped up this year and were able to kind of stretch their ideas and do some really crazy things. And I think that you see a really big journey and a change in a lot of the characters, just trying to ramp them up to grow up really quickly. And so, like I said, Chloe has been going through all this stuff. She's having her relationship with Jimmy Olsen, and there's all the angst there. And Lois is just really trying to find her way as this journalist and making some pretty huge errors. And she becomes possessed by an alien, and then they have to save her. And then, she does this thing with Stiletto, and she becomes Chloe for an episode. And, there's just tons of fun play between Lois and Clark. And then near the end of the season, bringing in that classic triangle of bringing in the Red, Blue, Blur and her obsession with him.
It's been a lot of fun to watch over the years the story evolve, and I think on the fan boards, a lot of people often talk about how they would love to see the series kind of reach that climactic point where all of a sudden you see Tom Welling in the Superman outfit flying away as the big final scene. Mm-hmm. How far are we? I mean, I know, not that I'm wishing anything bad upon your series at all, but how far are we away? How much more Smallville is there, do you think? You know what?
It's hard to tell. I just take it year to year, but I think that it's a very valid question because people have waited for so long, and it's going into its ninth season now, and I can see that they're excited to see, Clark Kent really jump in and decide to be really full-on Superman. But I know that they have one season left, but from what I hear, and my writers we're gonna have a big meeting and talk about next year, but it's supposed to be incredibly exciting and just really ramping up more and building on the end of this season and the cliffhanger that was part of this season. So I'm hoping that it'll go that way, especially for the fans who've been waiting for so long to see that, for sure.
Well, really a big fan of the show and a big fan of your performance as Lois Lane. And Thursday nights on the CW, Smallville, definitely worth checking out. And I'll put in my vote. We want to see the feature-length movie after the tights get put on. I'll put my vote in for that.
Awesome. Thank you so much.